Yeah, I was eating pancakes.
Oh, that's a good. Hey, everyone. Andy Hall with Simply Secular Dave. I was playing around with my phone, and it's like, oh, Dave's here. Hello. That's how slow the brain is running this morning.
Tis
It's
Monday.
like, well, yeah, it's Monday. And like I said, these late shows do have a tendency of throwing the brainy meats
Yeah.
into disarray.
Oh, but it was a great show last night with the guys and going through their musicology and the various videos they're putting out recently, and their
Yeah,
success is awesome. Yeah,
yeah. Some really impressive stuff. Especially that video by Robert Clapp.
yeah.
Shelter in Place. Um, that really moved me, to tell you the truth. It moved me the first time I saw it. It moved me the second time I saw it. It moved me the third time I saw it.
A little on the dark side, but yeah.
Well, Dave, you may not know this about me, but I do like my eggs sunny side dark. That's how I like them.
How would you like your eggs, sir? Do them sunny side up, flip them upside down, and then stab them a couple of times.
Hard, yeah. It's funny we should talk about darkness, right? I saw Bo Burnham's latest special on Netflix, and my girlfriend hadn't seen it, and she goes, "Well, what do you recommend?" It's like, I don't think there's enough trigger warnings actually in the second half of that show. That's how dark. I mean, it's beautiful. It's beautifully filmed, and it's just him and the camera basically in the room. And but yeah, there's darkness there. There.
I just wrote myself a note to watch that today. So
yeah, it's so good. I want to see it again, and I like the second half of it because it's much darker than the first half. I might just start from the midpoint and just go from there. I don't know, dude. It's the best comedy special, non-special I've seen for a long time.
Right on.
What's up, Rage?
Hey, what's up, yo?
Another day, another cup of coffee, a second cup of coffee, and yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. A new coffee cup, Dave.
I think I've used this before. My sister gave this to me when she was on a chaperone trip to Hawaii that she didn't pay for, and she was messaging me from the beach, and she said, "I'll get you something," and she brought me a coffee mug back, which I actually use. So good gift.
Right. So I've decided. I don't know if I woke up late. I realized even though I set up all the panels for today's show, I didn't actually do the thumbnail, and so I said, you know what? I'm just going to make a thumbnail of someone who might be watching this show or someone who might be wanting to click, because no one wants to see this. I've given up on showing my own face on thumbnails a long time ago. So I might just be doing like 30-something-year-old people smiling. I don't know. I'm always experimenting around with how to make a less shitty thumbnail.
You mean for the after show?
Oh, for the regular show, to tell you the truth.
I like your cat themed regular show stuff. Yeah.
I like the cat stuff too.
And if you do adopt the middle section of the show to be called the tummy rub, I think that has potential.
I like the tummy rub. I have to tell you that. I like the tummy rub.
Because it has rub in it, right? Here's the rub.
Here's the rub. I like that.
Yeah. So what's going on in Rage's world this morning?
Just trying to still wake up. Yeah, I'm on coffee cup number 2 as well, so I'm getting there.
If you don't mind me asking, Rage, how's your medical stuff going, brother?
Oh, it's just a waiting game at this point. Waiting on July 8th, I go in to get the test results for my EMG and figure out if and when we're doing the surgery and if life gets back to normal. So, yeah, pretty much just a waiting game and being on a crap load of medications.
Right. Yeah. Are you able to work now, or?
I am. I'm actually supposed to not be working at all. I'm supposed to, but when they came back and scheduled the appointment for like a month away just to get my test results, it's like I can't go a month without working. So I am working. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my heart goes out to you. I wish you the best of luck, man.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it'll be what it is. It's this American health system we live in that, they say, if you get universal health care, you'll have to wait to get stuff done. And I'm like, well, it seems like we have to do that anyway.
You gotta wait, and then you wait to get bank to file. You have to
Yeah.
wait now, and then you file for bankruptcy. Isn't it better just to wait?
Yeah, better just to wait. And which, that's a ridiculous talking point anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's just I'm ready for it to be over. I'm ready for life to get back to normal.
Yeah.
If we do have the surgery, the recovery time I'm hearing is brutal.
Is it?
Oh yeah, I mean they're cutting both of my feet open, so it's like, yeah, I won't be walking for quite a while. But I also hear like once it heals up, if after the surgery does work. I've talked to people that yeah, life goes back to normal. So
Wow.
I'm just hoping that it gets done, and just waiting to see if it will.
Well, are you going to need a wheelchair for a short period of time?
Oh yeah. I'm sure I will. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll probably be in a wheelchair, not able to. I'll probably for the first couple weeks need people to come here and feed me and all that good stuff.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Now, do you have people to do that, or are you going to use the service?
Uh, you know, I have a couple. We're not on the best of terms right now. I've been at this 2 year war with my family. Hey, you guys want me to accept you, but you should really be accepting me. So it's most of the family don't like the raging atheist, but I do have a couple people I think I can rely on.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, it's difficult. I was talking actually, because I work with people. I work with elderly people. I work with people who have disabilities, and family. And my God, is this? Are we just going to get into darker territories? Family, and I'm not going to tell you guys anything that you don't know. Can be unreliable, even when you're on good terms with them.
Oh yeah.
They can just be unreliable.
Yeah, I mean, I was raised, blood is thicker than water. Family is supposed to love unconditionally. I don't think that that's usually the case.
Yeah. Oh no, you're right about that.
I've said for a long time, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your
Yeah,
family.
exactly. And some of them are good, and yeah, I might end up having to use a service. We haven't quite figured out that part of it yet. And I do, my daughter's she's 11 now, preteen, very responsible. She'll be helping me out, so I'll get through it. I
Yeah.
just the longer they put the surgery out, the less money I'm gonna have for it. So
Oh yeah.
that's the depressing thing as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, getting through it. Try,
That's right.
my new goal is to not allow these medications to make me go crazy at 11:30 at night when I'm streaming live. That's the new goal.
Well, that's an important goal to have.
Yeah.
I have discovered as I've gotten older is that medication affects my body in weird ways now than it never did when I was in my 20s or 30s.
Yeah. And I'll be fine all day. Like when we had that stream the other night, John's like, dude, you were perfectly fine, and then boom, you wasn't. And it's like, yeah, for some reason, like this medication just hits me all at once now. It's never done that before, and now all of a sudden, it's like come 11 o'clock at night, I'm a different person.
And I guess this is Andy bitching about the medical establishment for a couple more minutes. Is the fact that I have seen people go on medication and enter what can only be defined as a psychotic state. Their personalities change, and yeah, if you look at the small print of the side effects, it's there. But typically, doctors will not tell you this when they prescribe the medication.
Yeah. I mean, they told me, all right, they went through this whole spiel. You're on a lot of medications now. Make sure you're taking them as you should. Don't overtake. Blah blah. But they never told me, the combination of all these different medications are going to change me.
Yeah.
They never tell you that part.
See, I find that very different. For being a Canadian, we have Canadian healthcare, we have the universal system, we have the pharmacist aid system here. So
I don't know what that is.
when you go to a pharmacist and you get prescribed something, there is an inherent check in your medical records to see if there's anything that conflicts with that could cause a heartache, a seizure, whatever. We have that system in place, and when they hand you a bottle of drugs, they either email you or send you, or the person at the desk as you're leaving, signing out of the office, hands you a form and it says, here's the risks. Don't take any of these medicines while you're on this.
Mhm.
Like, don't take aspirin, Advil, whatever the Tylenol, whatever it happens to be that conflicts with this. Tylenol actually conflicts with a lot of drugs.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So, they are very cautious in Canada about that sort of thing, and very knowledgeable and very conscientious about making sure that the person leaving the office isn't going to hurt themselves further by being on that drug, right?
Yeah, they kind of do it here in the States, but they seem more focused on drug abuse. Like for the longest time, I couldn't get certain medications because back when I was a 20-year-old, I was a pill addict. And
Well, if you're going to a pill farm or whatever they call those, yeah. I mean,
which was it was always good for me. Yeah, it was like, please don't give me pills. I don't want pills. But then when it came to the point, like, hey, I really could use some pills right now, it was like fighting arm and tooth to get the medications I needed. And it's like, I don't want to be a pill addict again. That's one of the things I'm struggling with, taking all these medications, but I don't want to live in pain either. So it's a double-edged sword.
Don't get me wrong. There are some very, very useful drugs out there. I mean, there are drugs and pharmaceutical aids that are helping people live a better life.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a large gray area, shall we call it, for abuse within the system. And even in Canada, where all the opioids, the Schedule 9 drugs, all of the hallucinogenics, everything like lithium, that is all closely regulated and monitored and all that. I mean, there's nowhere near the percentage of abuse that's going on in the United States, but there's still abuse.
Right? Yeah, and here in the United States, doctors are incentivized to prescribe whatever drugs they have a contract with whatever drug company. It's really not. In my opinion, and I'm not inside the field. This is just an outsider looking in. It's really not based on health. It's based on profit here in the States.
Yeah, you see, like here, if there's 4 options of a drug that you can take for your condition, and 2 of them are outside of your age range for recommendations, and one of them is for people who are diabetic, and one of them specifically for people who are not, they will prescribe you the exact drug that is the best, the one most likely to benefit you. There isn't a lot of that direct payola to the doctor here.
Yeah. I just want to say hello to Wild Eden. Hello, Wild Eden.
Yeah, hey, Wild Eden.
Hi there. I'm thinking about going back to my monkey head avatar.
I support whatever avatar you choose to use.
Oh, thank you, Andy. The monkey head, the monkey's the Hindu god of humanity, Hanuman.
Hanuman, that's right.
So I do like the monkey head.
Yep. It's funny having played Dungeons and Dragons for many years. I know most. See, you know where this is going, Dave. I know most of my Hindu gods from looking at what was it called? The Deities and Demigods manual. That's right, the Deities and Demigods manual. So some of my information may not be exact.
When I was teaching myself how to draw, I used comic books. I'm mainly Wolverine, but also I used those D&D manuals. They had some great pictures you could look at. You can draw them out. I used to love those books just for the pictures.
I don't want to talk about Loki for too long, but the new.
Oh man, it was brilliant, dude! I'm so excited for the rest of the series.
I haven't seen it.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will say there is a nuanced kind of subtext about what is free will, and about
and I don't want to give away spoil. I'm not going to say like I want to talk about it, but I hate it when people spoil shit.
Right, so I'm not going to spoil it, but there is an interesting discussion about free will, a subtext there, and I might even say block time, about whether or not everything is predetermined or not. So there is this kind of, and for a show like that, for what it is, it's a very ambitious show, and especially the first episode. They talk about the world building. They talk about this kind of about the psychology of the main character, and that first, I cannot wait for the second episode.
Definitely the best Disney Plus premiere that has happened so far, without a doubt. Yeah.
And I really liked WandaVision too. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, WandaVision was such a beautiful show, especially the first few episodes. It did classic TV. It was a riff on, like classic black and white TV.
Mhm.
And I thought that was really strong opening. But Loki was like, yeah.
Yeah, no spoilers. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but we're not supposed to see Kang the Conqueror until Ant-Man 3. I'm going to be shocked if we don't get like a post-scene credit where we see Kang the Conqueror here in this series.
The best thing, and this is my last thing I'm going to talk about this geek thing, right? the most exciting thing about possibly having Kang the Conqueror as the main villain in the MCU is the fact that we get Doctor Doom.
Yeah. I mean, us Marvel fans, we're screaming Secret Wars. Like Phase 4 is going to be Secret Wars, and I'm stoked. I'm really stoked.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, no more geek stuff. I'm a dork.
No more geek stuff, but super excited.
I am such a big dork. I admit it freely. I like reading physics and looking at Marvel comics, so you don't get dorkier than that.
They go hand in hand. John Hudson goes, Loki Charms. That's my favorite cereal. Yeah. So you guys do anything, or did everyone do anything exciting? I basically worked. I worked on, whatever I do on the channel, on the blog.
Yeah, I looked at some interesting claims. I had a really interesting conversation with Sky out last night, but he's always interesting. But
Now,
I looked at some.
Does he run a philosophy channel?
No, well, he runs a. I don't know how you would describe it. Maybe one of the shittiest channels on YouTube. But no.
Hey! I thought I had the shittiest channel on YouTube. Come on.
No, this guy is bad. But he tries to delve in philosophy. He tried to come at us with a bit of philosophy last night. He's not too bright. But no, I was looking at an interesting claim by Brett Keane yesterday, who claims that every single person that ever gets arrested, commits a crime, and goes to prison is an atheist.
That's impossible. Every single person every single person who gets arrested commits a crime. So we'll put a pin in that for a second. And then they go to prison, which is, I don't know about that either. And is the last point they deserve it, right?
No, is that they're an atheist. That everybody that commits a crime, that goes to prison, is an atheist, and most atheists don't even go to prison because they kill themselves first. That was his claim.
I would disagree. See, I think Simply Secular Dave's about to have an aneurysm. I know that look, Dave.
Is it twitching again?
It is it's something that I do too. It's like the look away, the micro expression, and then looking back in, it's like, oh, I'm on camera.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a ridiculous claim. We have numbers. Atheists in prison are 0.01% of the prison population. I mean, it's such an insane claim. But it's that Christian claim that Christians wouldn't do that.
Right. Well, it's an interest. Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
No, in Canada. Just a quick point. In Canada, when you're up for prison release, the parole board actually does have a checkbox on their form for, is this person religious, found Jesus, turned to Christianity, whatever it is. It's the religiosity of the person is a factor in the prison release. So there are no atheists in prison in Canada.
Wow.
See, and I'm sure here in the States, we were talking about this. Like, I would assume that parole boards wouldn't be able to ask the religious question, but they hear it, right? Like everybody, I've spoken about my experience. Everybody that goes to jail finds God, but it's a refinding. It's not like they're finding it for the first time. It's like they were raised, they were indoctrinated, and then they have a lot of time to think about, oh crap, this is where I went wrong, and I'm going to be such a good Christian now. And then they get back out and they smoke crack that first day, and they're right back in a month later. It's kind of weird to me that has anything to do with it. What as I pointed out in my stream when we were talking about it, some of your most violent people, some of your more violent groups in prison are the religious ones. So like that really shouldn't be a factor.
Definitely the most racist gangs in prison are religious for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Aryan Nation, they're heavily Christian based. But my point was like the 5%ers, which is a really weird sect of Islam. They kind of see themselves as gods. I mean, you stayed away from them people because they kill you.
Grumpy old dude. He talked quite a bit about the founders, the kind of Christian sect that he belonged to. Which is very prison related.
Yeah, and John Hudson, we did find that number. There's different numbers that you can find on it. I usually go with the 0.01%, just because I found that study to be more accurate. But we did actually use the 0.07% for the sake of giving the low number.
I just want to point out that I doubt that, and this is being facetious here, tongue in cheek, that since atheists are more likely to do white collar crime, I think we're far less likely to get thrown into jail.
Yeah, I do think, especially when you're talking about hard atheists, you're talking about a more intelligent, they're more well-to-do type people, generally speaking. Not all, I'm a hard atheist, I'm Poe, but generally speaking.
I would have to. I really want to know if there's some factual information about it, but I would think there's got to be something about atheist versus non-atheist religious person. And the incidents of getting arrested, how they're getting arrested, how they're getting found out that they're committing a crime, particularly white collar crime, because you would think, like in the church, the dude with the camera, the guys who are ripping off the church, the guys who are stealing from people via MLMs or shady dealings within the church, they're all getting busted because, God is watching over me. God will, they have that shield of godness over them, and they may feel somewhat invincible to it, where an atheist is like, the second somebody finds out about this, I'm done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like these types of arguments from theists, it's like it's a form of denialism, I think, and I think it actually does damage. Like we have a huge problem here in the United States with incarceration. We 25% of the world's prison population is right here in the United States, and when you think that God is sending the non-believers to prison, you're not going to be interested in even looking at a solution to that problem. It's just another reason why people like me can find theism to be harmful for society.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen it, look up John Oliver's Last Week Tonight on prisons. And last night on Last Week Tonight, they did another thing,
I watched it, yeah.
Big segment on air conditioning in prisons and how their animals have air conditioning, their offices have air conditioning, but they're not properly cooling the cells and the air going into them, and they're actually blowing air hotter than the human body temperature onto the people in the prisons to cool them.
Yeah, he's killing it right now. He's talking about COVID and the prison systems, and it's just how the prison system itself just wasn't built for something like a worldwide pandemic to hit, because you're crowded in such a small place. Like he's been really spot on with his what he's been doing.
Yeah, true enough. True enough.
Sorry, I've got wind whistling in the background.
Sounds very Scottish wind. It sounds like.
Speaking of backgrounds, how's Biscuit the cat doing?
Biscuit is doing well. My girlfriend said that she was playing around in the bedroom at around 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock this morning, but I slept right through it. I was so tired. So
the girlfriend is also back from Colorado, was it?
She is back from girlfriend's back from Colorado. She had I picked her up from the airport. And Sammy Jenkins. What's up, Sammy?
Hey.
G'day, folks.
Yeah. And so she's looking forward to the free tickets that you're getting us, Dave, for Joe Rogan.
I did say ticket.
Oh, here it comes. The back walking here. Okay, very good. I understand.
Andy even made the point it's a package deal.
Thank you. Yeah. So we're looking forward to our tour of
The 420 tour with Joe Rogan.
I thought you said Joe Rogan. Like somebody yesterday was asking me, like, when are you going to be on the Joe Rogan podcast? And I'm like, never. What are you
Well,
talking
yeah,
about?
I have to tell you, I like Joe Rogan more as an artist than I do as a podcaster.
Absolutely.
I've watched this podcast. I mean, I listen to Hannity as well. Like I enjoy, and he's more of a, I would say, a moderate. I mean, he's got some out there ideas sometimes, but he's a UFC guy. It's entertaining. I've watched it.
I'll just say this but okay, I'm not going to go on my Joe Rogan rant, but I am going to say I am looking forward to seeing Rogan live. I've never seen Rogan live. I think I've seen clips. I've seen his specials.
I didn't even know he did it live, like with a studio. Like you have people actually in the studio watching.
No, the Joe Rogan live is like the comedy tour, just like a regular.
It's like a regular comedy tour. Yeah.
Wow.
I was going to ask, but then I realized that we all still exist. So, I'm guessing Joe Rogan hasn't met Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Have they done a thing?
They're thick as thieves. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I would say Joe Rogan's
figured
definitely
they'd
a
be
Peterson
really
guy.
close or either hate each other's guts.
They were part of. So for those of you people who aren't aware of this, there was something called the dark web, the axis of stupidity, however you want to call it. So you had like Joe Rogan on the dark web, the self-branded outlaws and anti-woke people. You had Jordan Peterson. They roped in a bunch of other people too. I think Ben Shapiro was on it.
Sounds right.
And it just tells you the kind of quality of people that were involved in the project. I don't think it's really going on anymore. I know one of the people who was involved with it, Sam Harris, decided to distance himself from the organization since, they're just fucking nuts.
Shit.
Yeah. How many times in a podcast do you go, wait, what? Before you actually stand up and leave?
Yeah.
I know old JP's gone a bit vague, but is Joe Rogan an atheist?
Oh, he is. He is an atheist. And he has, and he started off in Boston. He was one of those, he grew up, he moved around to a lot of different places when he was younger, but he did his formative years here in Newton, Massachusetts. And so he's an atheist. And yeah, he just could be just a better skeptic and a better humanist. But once again, he's just hanging around with a lot of meatheads, and I think there's some testosterone poisoning going on.
Remember, like
Not the brightest.
80% of his audience is on the right. So, I mean, all BS aside, if you were making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, possibly millions a year, and you knew that 80% of your audience was on the right, would you not lean right?
I'm going to bring it back.
Yeah, I think most people do.
Let me just say this for a minute. I'm going to bring it back to Dr. Doom for a minute. Right? I'm going to bring it back to Dr. Doom.
Welcome to Black Cat Monday, everyone.
There was this great graphic novel that featured Doctor Strange and Dr. Doom teaming up to save Dr. Doom's mom, who was in hell. And basically, at the end of the story, and this is probably going to be made into a movie too, but Dr. Strange is like, why didn't you just ask me to help you? And Dr. Doom's like, listen, Dr. Doom does what Dr. Doom does, not because of anyone else, but because this is what Dr. Doom does. And so, and I know that sounds crazy, but ultimately when I make my choices, it isn't because of the fact that I'm getting money. And this is probably because I'm poor and why I'm always going to be poor. I just, there is something inherently against me being a whore. And this is not against sex workers or anything like that, but I'm not gonna bend.
You mean a shill, not a whore.
I'm not going to be a shill.
I think some people definitely do placate an audience and will put on showmanship. But the moment you do that you are a grifter now. You know, if you're going against what you believe in to make money, you're grifting.
It's grifting, it's becoming a charlatan. It's all of those things. It's all inherent in that action. When you are being false about who you are, what you believe, or what you're telling is or is not the truth, you're on the other side of the fence already.
Yeah, and
Um,
Joe Rogan, exactly, Paul.
Well, I don't know if I feel that Joe Rogan. I mean, he would do a fair bit of that, but I believe that he is also fairly convinced of his own BS. Um, I mean, the last thing I seen, what was this? So we get called fuck boys if we could think that we're completely in love with you, and we'll tell you, like you're awesome and all this, but there is this thing that happens where we legitimately cannot know until we've had sex with you and orgasmed whether we can be with you, and that and they were going on this big rant of how it's just this thing that males have that women should understand, that we might feel one way before sex, but we could feel very different, and we have to have sex
Well,
to know.
I agree with, I hate to say it, but I agree with Jordan Peterson on this. And it's only a weak man who is afraid of having bad sex with a woman, because you can fix bad sex. It's a physical thing. It's a learned experience with the partner that you're with. And if you're not prepared to understand what goes on in the human body with various people that you want to become lovers with, then you're not going to be a very good lover. And it's on you.
Yeah, no.
Not necessarily.
You know, I want to make a point here, more of an observation. If women based who they are with on whether or not they're having good sex, very few of us would be getting laid, and very few of us would be in relationships. Let's face it.
And see, I agree with that completely, Dave. But that wasn't it. That wasn't the point that they were making. This was a post orgasm. Okay, now let me look at you and see how I feel after orgasm.
I love how people can rationalize bad behavior. The smarter you are, the better it is. Typically, the better you are at rationalizing bad behavior.
I mean, I understand what they're saying there, and I think it's probably out of context, because what they're talking about is if you go to the bar and you meet a girl that you think is a 9, and you wake up in the morning after having sex, being hungover and seeing them in a different light, you might not think they're a 9 anymore, and they might not think you're a 9 anymore. And
that's what I thought.
Maybe that's
what I thought, the context. But watching the whole thing, they were legitimately saying that there is this phenomenon that women need to accept. You could be dating a woman for a month, but you need, until you have that orgasm, post-orgasm, you will know if that feeling can completely change.
I don't think there's any peer-reviewed research on that.
But we try and express this, and we're just fuck boys. And
I don't think there's any psychological research to really support that assertion.
No,
I haven't seen anything.
And if I can point to what Marmaduke's Garlic said there, Joe Rogan doesn't seem to do much self-reflection, nor does he have time, nor does he have the incentive.
Well, it's the incentive right there. And the thing is, and my point is that when you are, wow, I love that win.
Sorry, I put myself on mute again.
From the morning.
Just some atmosphere for you. I feel like something out of Macbeth at the moment, so I put myself in.
The thing that got me going with Rogan was the last time when he was telling young dudes that they don't have to take vaccines, right? They don't have to get the COVID vaccine. And Fauci said, hey, you really have to. And Rogan did the highly irresponsible thing of, you shouldn't be listening to me anyway because I'm high all the time and I'm a comedian, so why should you listen to me? And I'm like, wow, the Tucker fucking Carlson, the Alex defense. How irresponsible are you to do that? And the thing is, when you have a platform, you are either going to try to make a good faith effort. You're going to make a good faith effort to be an adult, or you don't. And if you're not being an adult on a huge platform, then that means you're not being responsible.
Yeah.
But that's not
And
his brand.
I'm
His brand is the irresponsible interviewer. His brand is the guy who's high. His brand is the guy who's going to say something to get a laugh or a reaction.
Well, I do that.
Yeah,
And I'm not saying I'm just as funny as Joe Rogan, but on a podcast, yeah, I think I am just as fucking funny.
You still have a responsibility though. Like I'm the raging atheist. I'm supposed to rage on people. But if I if I, you know, if it's late at night and I back in the day it was when I was drunk or the other night when my pills kicked in and I show myself and I'm an ass and I'm just exhibiting bad behavior, I still have that responsibility to come out and own that and say, hey, I'm wrong in this situation. Not kind of put it out on a cop off. Oh, what the fuck did you expect? I'm rage. No, there is some responsibility that I think you undertake when you have platform.
The thing is, Rage, you're probably being held accountable for your actions. And Rogan has one of the highest rated podcasts. And if I can just veer off, Rogan has the highest rated podcast. People want to be on his show. Conservatives, liberals, everyone wants to be on his show and have his audience listen to their voice. Now, having said that, my family member who works for our church, when I was working on their computer this weekend, I mentioned Joe Rogan and they said, "Who's that?"
Wow.
And they are the communications person for this brand.
It's funny that you should say that, Dave, because really, and I'm not going to say anything that we don't already know. Everyone knew who Johnny Carson was 40 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone in the country knew. Now, Joe Rogan's podcast has just as large an audience as Johnny Carson did back in the day in terms of, millions percentage of the viewing audience of the American public. But the thing is, the nature of media now is that while everyone knew who Johnny Carson was 40 years ago, people would be like, Joe Rogan, he does a podcast? Who is he? Yeah.
But you're right. And that's to do with the analytics of what's going on. Now, within this particular church, the people who work there have to sign an agreement that anything that they do online is subject to approval by the church. And they literally provide them with guidance that they should not be watching Family Guy, South Park, Rick and Morty. Like there are literal shows that make fun of religion that are on the it's recommended that you don't watch this list.
Well, so I've heard
how do you stay relevant in a society. I mean, and I love this for the church because it's going to dig them a bigger and bigger and bigger hole. Yeah. But how do you stay relevant in our society without knowing there's a Tucker Carlson and a Joe Rogan and a Jordan Peterson and and a raging atheist? How do you?
I just want to say the number one reason why people turn away from Christ is because of the Pickle Rick episode of Rick and Morty. That's what I've heard.
See, in my day, I don't know how it is with other religions, but the one show that Jehovah's Witnesses could watch. In general, there was probably strict families that wouldn't watch this, but Star Trek and Star Trek gave me such a love of space and physics and critical thinking. It was a huge part of me waking up quite early. So just keep it quiet, but push Star Trek.
Have all of you seen the Holly Bibble episode of Family Guy?
Holly Bibble. I don't know if I've seen it or not.
It's the one where they're in the motel room in the storm and they find the Bible and Peter reads passages.
Yes. Yeah. That was fun. I'm intrigued by this, Sammy, because there's quite a few episodes of classic Trek where hey, look, this deity is actually just an alien. You would think that would be a little subversive.
No, well, this is why it was okay, because Alien was just pretend. It didn't matter. It was supernatural stuff, and Aliens wasn't really considered supernatural because it was just pretend, make believe. Anything ghost or spirit or demonic was a no-go. But Star Trek was just enough on this side of supernatural that we didn't watch the original series. It was Next Generation in
There's
my
still
family.
a couple of great episodes about debunking deities because they're just big aliens. I can just think of one.
Exactly. And I'd be sitting there as a child, like having my God debunked, and then I'd look over it. Mum would just be sitting there, you know, in her stupor.
Everything can appear as a god if you don't understand what it is. But once you understand it, it's the Wizard of Oz thing, right? You pull back the curtain and realize the truth. And nobody who ever watched The Wizard of Oz said, "Oh, I wish they didn't pull back the curtain. It would have made it a better movie."
All right, so I just want to share this from the chat. There's a 3-part bit here. I thought that was Scooby-Doo. Paul says Star Trek is much better than Joe, and then Tesla Ranger. And I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for meddling kids. By God. Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for anybody that goes through childhood and doesn't have Frodo in their lives, or Harry, or just like I have an aunt, very fundamental, and wouldn't let her children watch anything with magic in it. And I'm just like, man, I just feel sorry that you don't have that. That's just missing from your childhood.
Yeah, and once again, I've said this before and I'll say it again. When my kids were growing up, I always told them magic isn't real. It did nothing to stunt their creativity. They're super creative people. And, if you're afraid of your kids not knowing what reality is, then you could just say, the magic isn't real. Of course, it helps.
And you know what's even worse? On top of that, not only have you took the magic away, but the magic that remains is this maniacal, horrific god that's watching you masturbate, or Satan and his demons. Like, that's the magic in a fundamentalist's world, it's a dark place.
Yeah, dude. Well, okay. So John Hudson's joke, why did Spock follow Kirk into the men's room? He wanted to get a peek at the captain's log. Very nice. Well played, sir. Well played. Sammy, just from you describing the Jehovah's Witness worldview of us, of the world being a place where there is no deity, where God has left the building, pretty much. That's a nightmare scenario. I mean, if you're taking it seriously.
Well, I mean, there's a deity. I mean, Satan is here, and his demons. They literally believe that he's got his fingers inside everyone's head.
Yeah.
If I can do a screen share here, this is how to keep your children from being exposed to Satan or Family Guy or anything else. This is 3 days ago, somebody listed 1 double and 1 queen radiation-free sleeping cage.
Oh my God.
What?
A cage for who?
Handmaid's Tale.
Probably their child.
Like, can you imagine sleeping in
So that's really big. That's like a queen bed size.
that one? There's 1 queen and 1 double. I don't know which is which, but they are like completely enclosed. It says earthquake proof. Like, what if the walls fall in around you?
That's not earthquake proof.
He's the kicker. It's airtight.
It's
I know, right?
Sammy, you jumped to it before I could, sir. Well done.
That's
Mommy, I'm suffocating.
I'm scared of the dark. Just light that candle.
don't give one of those to Shani. Just don't.
That's great, man. That's hilarious.
That's insane.
Is it radiation proof? Because so people here are much smarter than me. I remember there are different waves, right? The alpha, beta, you get the gamma. As I recall, alpha gets stopped by paper, beta gets stopped by wood, and gamma will go through concrete, and like a lot of concrete too. How is that little thin slice of metal?
Oh, it's lead lined.
Oh, it's lead lined. All right.
Yeah.
Wow, that explains it all. Thank you.
Did I not mention that? It should have been in the ad, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Like how? Well, now Superman won't be able to look through it either. So I guess that's.
Well, he can. He can melt through it.
I
with his
find it amusing when they just say radiation as well without
Yeah.
specifying. Like, heat is radiation.
Yeah, heat is radiation. What I really want to know is whether or not it's going to stop neutrinos, because that's what I'm really concerned about.
The big thing they didn't put on it that's super important is it penetrable by 5G?
Oh, well, and Wi-Fi and all that. Yes, well said.
Yeah.
I mean, I just finished season 4 of Handmaid's Tale, and they threw her in a box like that for.
Hey, no
yeah.
spoilers. No spoilers. I haven't seen that either. I'm way behind on
damn
my
it.
TV watch.
How old is
I just
that
caught up
movie?
the last couple of days, honestly. So.
So this is.
I've been watching that as well.
The Faraday cage.
Oh man, that's insane! Like,
So,
we
Hey, you know, in the show you had a chicken joke, right?
Oh yeah. the
Okay,
chicken.
so I got a birthday card this year, and I've covered up the name on it, for anonymity. But this is how weird my family is, right? Why did the chicken cross the road?
Okay.
Because chickens are really, really stupid.
I think you just made a compelling argument for family systems theory right there, otherwise known as apples and trees, and how far did the apples fall?
If they're on a hill, they can roll a little ways, but apples aren't round. So
That's great, man.
yeah.
Yeah. So I should also say that Atheists Drinking Out Loud, we are pushing it back to July because I'm doing my birthday pub crawl here in the Cambridge area. And it should be pretty epic, to tell you the truth, because some of the pubs are still open and now fully open. And so, of course, a lot of them have died, unfortunately. Some of the classic pubs in the Cambridge area are dead and never to return. But there are a few left, enough for me to get drunk at, to tell you the truth. So instead of doing drinking online, I'll be doing free range drinking.
By the time Delta COVID-19 hits, it'll be shut down for then anyway, so we can go back to the old schedule.
Dave, I have to tell you something, right?
If we're going to be dark, we're going to be dark.
I believe, right? Well, I'm just guessing, right? Worst case scenario that, I don't know how long the vaccine is going to give me immunity for, but I do know I just got the vaccine in May, and that if I'm going to have optimal immunity, it's right now, and it just happens to coincide with me drinking for my birthday. So,
did you get your second shot?
Oh yeah, dude, yeah.
Okay.
I'm like fully vaxxed.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for number 2.
I could not do the job that I do because a lot of the time I'm in people's houses. They live in big buildings. I have to go up in little wee elevators to their places, and so I need to be fully vaxxed.
My friend who does healthcare was on the A list. I'm on the B list as an essential worker, but she's a home care worker and had to be on the A list to get the vaccine. So she's all doubled up. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah. So we're going to be doing Atheist Drinking Out Loud on July 3rd with Neil, Seamus, and Simply Secular Dave. It's going to be crazy. Woo!
It takes 3 weeks after the second jab to get your protection from the COVID. 3 weeks after your second one.
To reach optimal immunity is what they're saying. It takes up to 3 weeks. The average is 15 days. But they're also saying now there's evidence that using like Moderna and Pfizer together has some benefits for some people, and like having different mRNA concoctions, right? So they're still experimenting with that. But for now, if you got Pfizer and didn't have a reaction to it, you get Pfizer again.
Yeah. So you're saying that there's some evidence to point that if you get one shot of Moderna, one shot of Pfizer, that's better?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that.
Yeah. They're experimenting with everything to do with COVID right now to find answers. Good answers or bad answers. They need to know answers. So there's studies going on with all kinds of research to do with that now.
Interesting.
We're getting a big spike in the 30 to 39 age group at the moment.
The ones who back to work.
And they're the ones that have they've got a reduced rate of taking up the vaccine.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they're the ones that are being hospitalised at the moment. It's hitting the younger age groups. And, you know, we've got young people in hospital who don't even have underlying medical conditions. This is the Delta variant that's kicked off over here.
Yeah. I didn't know it was already over there.
The status has been escalated at the moment. What they call
the Delta variant has just blown up out here in Canada too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how it is everywhere else. Here in Michigan, we treat it like it's over, you know, and
That's the danger.
Yeah, that's the danger of it, because it's not over yet.
Eden, you sound just like one of my grandmother's friends from when I was a kid. And she
do I sound that old?
No. She had a beautiful voice.
Just joking.
She wasn't as old as my grandmother. She was one of her friends. But she used to say to me, David, close the door. You'll let in all the wee beasties. So if you can
wee
just
beasties. The wee beasties. Yep. She must have been Scottish.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But you were saying about the COVID Delta is blowing up in. Yeah, are you in Scotland? You're Scottish.
Yes, I'm in Scotland. Yeah.
Is that like the latest reports of the explosions you were talking about in those ages?
Yes.
Or within
Yes. Yeah. Current.
What's happening in the States, if I can, or in Australia? Do you guys have information on the Delta variant? Is that what's up in the news today, or?
I don't know. I know the news story that we covered in the first show, that they were talking about the Chinese, the Delta variant in China. Here, pretty much they're in Massachusetts. Don't hear anything about it. It's just people trying to get more and more vaccinated, pretty much, and things going back to normal, to tell you the truth.
Yeah,
well,
that's the
new normal.
Yeah.
Wee beasties is the Scottish equivalent to the Irish Lucky Charms.
Is it?
Scott Duke was saying in the chat, isn't it a cereal?
Yeah, I'm just looking at Massachusetts vaccination rate, and we're at 57.8% of the population fully vaccinated.
Fully vaccinated. Yeah, we're nowhere near that.
Yeah. And in terms of people with one dose, we're at 68.5%.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
The percentage of population in that's globally. Hang on. Globally is only 6.2%.
Well, you probably heard this news over the weekend, is that the U.S. and Britain are going to be sending a bunch of vaccines out to poorer countries for them to use.
Yeah, I don't have British Columbia specifically, but I know we're not doing well here compared to Ontario. But in Canada, the percentage of population fully vaccinated is 12.2%.
12.2, yeah.
The Delta variant has arrived in Australia.
It's arrived everywhere. Yeah, I mean, there's no brakes on it. There's no way to stop it if you're still
spread so fast.
Yeah, if you're carrying people from one place to another, if you're importing goods, if you're, you have pilots coming and going. Yeah.
The one thing that Sammy Jenkins for the 420 Atheist told me that I'm holding on to is that Tasmania is the New Zealand of Australia.
Yeah. I'm quite impressed with myself for coming up with that, actually.
It's I think you should be on the Tasmanian tourism board, sir.
Well, it's funny. I mean, the mainland has a similar sort of mateship rivalry with Tasmania as we do with New Zealand as well. And Tasmania is freezing cold, like New Zealand.
You're singing my song.
It's mountainous, lots of forest, old forest. You know, it
Not a
is a
lot of
little
people.
mini New Zealand, and
Yeah.
not a lot of people.
You see, that's where if I'm going to ride out an apocalypse, I think I've switching because New Zealand. Everyone knows about New Zealand. I'm thinking Tasmania, and think about all the marsupials. I hear this very marsupial-friendly place, Tasmania.
It is. It is.
Yep. So I think Tasmania might be my new hideaway place.
I mean, it is now. we
Yeah.
did eradicate a few species back in the day.
Are there still Tasmanian devils, or are they?
Yeah, we still got the devils. They are on their way out because they have this mystery face cancer.
Really?
Yeah. Scarlet Marmaduke might know a bit more. He's an Aussie. I haven't looked into it greatly, but it's a horrific thing. Yeah, it deforms their face and
Wow.
That's
makes them quite rabid.
oh wow.
almost.
And what was it
Like,
in koalas?
to-
Did koalas end up getting chlamydia or something? What was the deal?
So
with
koalas do have chlamydia. That's a huge problem amongst koalas.
Are we
So
talking
what
about
they
chlamydia?
Yeah, the sexual disease. A big part of the problem is that koala cubs eat their mother's pap, which is essentially the feces. And that is how it's also transmitted. So every new generation is just instantly being infected. So they're having to neuter the infected species in hopes that they will die out and the healthy ones will keep reproducing. But then when the fires came along, we lost massive amounts of their home.
Sure.
So, yeah, the koalas are on the edge now, which is
Wow.
really sad.
You know, I hadn't
think
even
about.
heard about that. It's all been just mice in Australia. That's what I think about these days, and I hadn't even heard about the koala apocalypse there.
And the kangaroos are just out of control now. They're almost everywhere because the drop bears are extinct. So, you know.
Yeah, you know, I don't even know what a drop bear is, Paul. Talking about drop bears. Is that a joke?
No, well, it is. There's no such thing as a drop bear,
Yeah.
but koalas are aggressive. So they're not going to drop on you, but if one did happen to fall out of a tree onto you, it's going to, it's going to rip your face off.
Trees because they don't want to run and have to find another tree to eat from. So they're very protective, right? So,
Wow.
Territorial. Yeah.
Not to change the subject, but real quick, I know we're about to end the show. Andy, have you heard about the guy, I believe it was yesterday, in Minneapolis, drove his car into protesters?
I know I know a couple of things happened over the weekend. I know that there was a shooting in Austin, and I knew that there was something going on.
Yeah, in Minneapolis yesterday, a man drove his car 100 miles an hour into a crowd of protesters. And, we cannot forget, and we need to hold Republicans responsible, because for years now, ever since the Dakota No Access Pipeline protest, they have been advocating for this specifically, the ability to run over protesters in the streets. So we need to hold these people accountable. This is a new phenomenon within the country that is just it is going insane, and it's always right-wing people driving into left-wing protests.
You're right about that. Islamic terrorists used airplanes. Right-wing terrorists are using cars against protesters.
Did you guys hear about what happened in Ontario with the right-wing Christian nut job who drove into the Muslim family walking down the street?
No,
Gosh.
that's horrible.
It's absolutely horrible, and it happened in Canada. And
I mean, it's getting out of control. And
this was in Ontario.
Yeah.
Drivers
Yeah, so it's even happening up in Canada. Like
A 9-year-old boy survived after being hit by the car and is in hospital, and the rest of the family was killed. The guy jumped in his truck, planned this, went down the street, found somebody because they go out for walks as a family, and swerved into them, drove down the road, got caught a little while later. I don't want to glorify his name or anything like that.
No. Yeah, it's best
Yeah.
not to use names because it just incentivizes these kind of.
But yeah, this
Well,
is happening.
do
This is happening worldwide. It's not specifically.
Do you
American
recall
That's
12
crazy,
months
man.
ago or so, in New Zealand, there was a mass murder, a mass shooting at a Muslim
Yeah, I
temple,
remember it. Yeah,
or
I remember
several.
it.
He put the whole thing on Facebook as he was doing it, and he
Yeah.
went to one church and shot it up, and then drove to another one and shot it up. Well, he was an Australian
Mhm.
in New Zealand,
Mhm.
Was
out
that in
for
Christchurch?
Muslims. Yes.
Yes, I've seen the video. It was part of our active shooter training, and it was very difficult to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw it, I think, while it was still live. Most of Australia did, I think,
Wow.
because it did. So many people shared it that as quick as they could take it down, it was being
Sure.
put up somewhere
Yeah.
else. So
Yeah.
it wasn't until they figured out to cut it off at his end
Sure.
that
All right.
yeah.
Someone say something funny or something hopeful before. I don't want to close on that.
Tomorrow's another
My
day.
fault. My fault.
PAP
the
is
rage.
for koalas, people.
Yes, that was for cool.
All right. There we go. We end up on koalas.
Go watch a drop bear video, Andy. They're hilarious.
I am going to watch a drop air video. I'm going to watch it as I eat before I go into work. Everyone in the chat, thanks for watching. Panel, thank you very much for showing up. There's been a lot of fun as always.
Thank you, Andy.
Take care. And